Good morning, LinkedIn family. For Rosy, it's actually a very late good evening. Welcome to another Coffee with Bob. Today, I have the distinct pleasure of speaking with the lovely Rose Cano, straight from the Philippines. I'm a big believer that it only takes one connection to change a life, and what you're doing is just amazing. I mean, sharing success stories to help others. I can't think of a better thing to do. This is why I like doing Coffee with Bob, because I like sharing stories like yours. And you literally took your path and you changed it into a totally new direction because of COVID. I think that's wonderful, and you're a blessing.
Today, let's take on Success Bench with Rosy under Notes and Coffee. Every success has a story. Are there any secrets? Note the lessons. Get inspired. Success Bench with Rosy. Rosy Day, everyone! Welcome back to my channel for the 9th episode of my Success Bench with Rosy, featuring a great man who believes that one connection can change a life, the brilliant host of Hashtag Coffee with Bob, Mr. Robert Seeger. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Rosy. I appreciate it. And I don't know if I'd necessarily call myself a great man, but thank you. I appreciate that. That's a lot to live up to.
Sure you are.
Thank you. You're very sweet.
Now.
Very sweet.
Tell us about your campaign.
Well, yeah, so it's called One Connection, hashtag One Connection, because I like to connect people on LinkedIn. I've been building my following for a while now and my connections, and I truly believe that one connection can change a life. We're all just one connection away from someone who's going to do something for us, whether that's introduce us to the right people, help us get the next job, or meet someone wonderful like you. You know, I mean, and to help get this message out, or to help get your message out. So for me, you know, I like connecting people. I like bringing people together and helping them get to their next level. So that's the whole push behind One Connection.
You've had several episodes as I've watched and followed on LinkedIn, on YouTube as well.
Yes.
I have a few questions for you. Where are you in your life now? Status, you know, the sense of fulfillment.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think now, as I get a little bit later in life, as you can tell with the gray and stuff, and now that I'm a grandfather, actually, I find myself wanting to do more for other people. And that's kind of where I get my greatest fulfillment. I'll give you an example. Last week, our friend Corey Warfield was locked out of LinkedIn. For reasons unbeknownst to any of us. I mean, well, the reason is because the algorithm thought he was doing something wrong, which he obviously wasn't. So I started that morning, I started a movement called hashtag Free Corey, Free Corey Warfield, actually, and did a little video post on it, and got tons and tons of views. I don't know if that was the reason, but later on that evening, his connection was turned back on again, and he was back on with the LinkedIn world. So doing stuff like that. And I had another time where I did a Coffee with Bob with a gentleman who was pretty much near to being homeless, and we helped him find a job. I'm doing a couple more Coffee with Bobs in the near future with people who are looking for work, and my goal is to get them exposure. I think that's just the best thing in the world, to help people out. I'm also working with the Kindness Challenge, where random acts of kindness sort of make the world go round and make the world a better place. And for me, I can't think of a better random act of kindness than to connect people up and help themselves sometimes.
I couldn't agree with you more on that.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's fulfilling. It makes me feel good. I'm fortunate, I work for a very good company. I like where I like where I work. And because I like what I do, it gives me the freedom to do other things outside of work. I know a lot of young people a lot of people on LinkedIn are there as entrepreneurs, right? They're there to start their businesses, whether it's consulting, whether it's product based, or a new software, whatever the case is. And for me, I'm just there to reach out and bring people together. And I've found some amazing people that have become friends because of it. For example, if you didn't do a coffee with Bob and Rosy, I would have never met you. We wouldn't be having this conversation, right? And I feel very blessed by it. Then I have other friends like Chef Jill Sullivan, which I recommend to you. We didn't even do a coffee with Bob yet. We just connected and just started messaging back and forth. And she introduced me to Michelle Manzera, who runs a company or started a company called Love a Foodie, loveafoodie.com. Got me totally hooked on her blood orange iced tea. I mean, so it's these little ripples that kind of go through the networks that we build and gets us exposed to all kinds of great and wonderful things.
I guess my second question is connected to your answers. What is the success for you?
What is it? Yeah, that's a good question. I think for me, the more lives that I can touch, the more lives that I can help change, right, for the good, one would presume. To me, that marks success for me. I'm at a good stage of my life where it's not about monetary gains anymore. It's more important to have that people impact, that emotional impact that comes from within yourself, right? And that emanates outward to help them lift them up. A lot of the folks that I follow on LinkedIn, for example, are into positive mental attitude, are into anti-bullying, are into equal rights, all that good stuff that help others lift each other up. I think especially now in these politically charged times, in this politically charged global place that we all live in today, I think a little kindness is in order to help kind of set things right again. I think as a race, as a human race, we've forgotten to be kind. We forget what it means to be kind. We forget what it means to reach out to others. We forget what it means to help others, because we've gotten so competitive, right? And since I was a child, we were always taught you got to drive to get ahead, which is fine as long as you're not driving over people to get ahead, right? You should be stopping along the way and picking people up and helping them, because when you help others get ahead, you get ahead as well. So for me, that's my determination of success, is making sure you can help others be successful as well.
Yes, exactly. Because at the end of it all, it's not about how much successful you are in your business and all that. We're all going to be judged by how much we love. We love
Yep.
through kindness.
Yes, absolutely. And all the money in the world will never make you feel whole is if you have to step over people to get that money, right? All the money in the world, that when you step on people to get to it, means you're just going to be alone at the end, right? And you have all this money at the end, and you're a sad, lonely person. What good is that money to you then? It means nothing at that point. So for me, by helping others, by empowering others, by bringing others along, and you get the success that goes along with it, it just makes it so much more richer, right? And you have others to share it with, and that's probably one of the most important things to me.
Right. So when you were younger, I'm sure you have a share of pain points in your life. What are those that motivated you to reach your success right now?
Yeah, that's a good. So we're getting to the deep stuff now, right?
Just a few.
Yeah. So I grew up in not so nice of a household. I grew up in a very authoritarian household, where in my day, the edict was spare the rod, spoil the child, right? And trust me, there was no rod spirit against me. I was rambunctious, and so I had to be drawn into line. And back in my day, you went to school. If you got out of line in school, you got your hair pulled, you got whacked and stuff like that. Not like it is today, but back then. So it taught me the merits of how I didn't want to be, right? The way that I was raised taught me that that's not the way I'm going to raise my children. Taught me that's not the way I'm going to interact with my grandchildren. It taught me that I wasn't going to interact that way with other people. So I guess the abusive upbringing, the trials that I went through as a younger person taught me to be a better person later on in life. So now that we're getting deep.
I admire you because you channel those experiences towards a positive world. The community that you've built with Coffee with Bob. It's amazing.
Thank you. I'm still working on it, and I'm hoping by doing things like this with wonderful people like you, that it'll give us more exposure and give us a bigger gathering. I'm not quite as busy yet where I'm doing a Coffee with Bob every single day, but I'm probably doing 3 a week, which is great. And I want to expand into doing it in a live version, so that way it's a little bit longer and make it, we really want to impact as many people as possible. So yeah, that's my goal, and I'm getting there slowly but surely.
Okay, great. When you were younger as well, like your younger self, is there any message you'd like to tell him?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you're young, right, you feel like everything is the end of the world. When you're young, everything is, instead of being like this, it's like this. It's hugely big. And I think the one thing I would probably go back to myself as a younger man and say to myself is that this too shall pass, and you will grow beyond this. It's not the end of the world. And that's the thing that I tell young people when I meet with them. Hey, I know you're going through struggles right now, but with perseverance, you'll get through it. And as long as you do it with a positive attitude, as long as you do it with the best of intentions, things will be all right. Karma does come around. If you want, I don't care what you call, God, the divine one, Buddha, whatever name that you associate with it, or just flat out karma. I do believe that good things come around. You get as much as you give out in this world. So if you're giving good in this world, you'll get good back. I do believe that. And I think that's one thing I would tell my younger self is these are troubling times, but you will get through it.
And what's the greatest learning that you've had so far?
My greatest learning that I've had so far. I think my greatest learning has only happened within the past 20 years. And that's when about 20 years ago, almost exactly 20 years ago, I started learning the benefits of paying it forward. A very good friend of mine that I've known a long time that kind of mentored me on this, Chuck Hester, taught me about pay it forward. And we all know it was a movie. I get that. But back then it was just a movie. He really taught me that it actually works. And I started out by just doing really little things in line at the coffee shop, paying for the person behind me, saying, just make sure you take care of the person behind you. And it just kind of blew up from there. And that's kind of the whole thing behind the Coffee with Bob. It was my way of paying it forward, and it just blew it up that way. So that's probably been my biggest lesson and most impactful lesson in my life is learning that concept.
Bottom line is really kindness goes a long way.
Yep, absolutely. You just can't imagine. And for those of us that don't practice that, and I get it, they kind of think, well, I'll just leave a better tip for the waitress, or I'll open the door for an old person, or stuff like that, and they think that it's not going to make an impact. I would argue that it makes a huge impact, especially now when things are just flat out kind of scary. We just went out to dinner tonight, and when we go out to dinner, we always try and go to a local restaurant where local people are working, and I try to leave a tip that is nearly as big as the check that we just spent money on the food for. Because, here, at least in the States where I live in Illinois, Restaurants are only filled to 25% capacity, soon to be 40% capacity. That's not a lot for a person who's trying to make a living as a waiter or waitress. So, I think those of us that can afford to go to dinner like that and go out on purpose, we should leave an extra large tip for that wait person, because they have to make up for losing over 50% of what their income would be under normal circumstances. So I think it's things like that we have to do. And it's those little bits of kindness that take the extra step, I think, is what makes people feel better. Michael Ray runs the Kindness Challenge out of Louisville, Kentucky, that I'm a part of. And he literally randomly just walks up to people that are getting like a pizza delivery. They'll walk up to a pizza delivery guy, and we'll give them a $50 gift card. It wasn't even a pizza that was being delivered to him. Because he knows that those folks that are doing those types of jobs, while very important, aren't making as much as they're used to making. So we've got to help them somehow.
It is really a compassionate service towards others.
It is, absolutely. And I think once we show that compassion, right? Once we push that compassion out there, it has little ripples effect. And now you and I are talking from the United States to the Philippines.
Yes.
And if it wasn't for LinkedIn, and we were connected through somebody else, and I would have never had this amazing experience with you and all the wonderful things you're doing and the impacts that you're making, right? Mm-hmm. So it shows you that it works.
And I feel very blessed to be part of this circle that we're in right now.
Yeah.
The pandemic, it just taught us a lot.
Yep.
For my last question, what has been your life's guiding principle?
My life's guiding principle has really been, it's more biblical than anything else, right? Do unto others as you want them to do unto you, right? I mean, that's not the exact biblical term or the exact verse, but if we were to talk about being a servant leader, right? Jesus was sort of the ultimate servant leader, because when you sat down to a meal, right, it would always be the servants and the slaves that would, number one, go last, obviously, but they would wash your feet. And then what he did is he would wash the feet of the slaves, which was considered to be a no-no, right? It was totally anti about what the world was at that time. But it's a very good example of what servant leadership means. Servant leadership means you take care of others first, so that they in turn can help you be better. And that's how we grow. It's a different concept than stepping over people to get ahead. You help others grow so that you can grow along with them. So for me, my guiding principle is servant leadership, to be a servant leader.
That is a wonderful principle to live by, I guess.
Thank you.
And tell us more about Coffee with Bob. How can people connect with you? People from my country also, maybe they want to promote something. How can they reach you?
Yeah, great. So if you go to my profile on LinkedIn, and you go into my summary, at the bottom of the summary, there's a calendar link. You click on that, pick a time, and we can schedule a time to be on Coffee with Bob. I like to help everyone. So that's why I had to start using Calendarly, because I was having a hard time juggling all the requests for times, yet still doing a full-time job. So I had to set up a schedule that will allow people to do that. So anybody who wants to come on Coffee with Bob, I'm happy to help you. You're looking for a job? Let's do an interview online so we can show people. You're looking to sell your service? Let's talk about your service. Coffee with Bob is always about the person that I'm interviewing. They are the focus. What their needs are, what their services are, what their products are, that's the focus. And if we find that we are talking longer than 10 minutes, then we'll split it up into several 10 minutes if we have to. Or we could do a Coffee Talk with Bob live, which I'm going to do a few of those as well too. And that can go as long as we want it to go. Check my LinkedIn profile up. I am out of connections right now. I'm at my 30,000 maximum. But if you follow me, I'll follow you back. And then if you direct message me, I'll direct message you back the Calendarly link, or you can find it in my profile description. But I'd be happy to have a Coffee with Bob with you.
Very well said. Then I will be posting your links and as well as your calendar. You inspired me with that calendar scheduling. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
You've been a blessing, really. I mean, it's always been an honor to have you on my show, which you had me on your show as well.
Yes.
It was mind blowing. You're doing this organic content without edit. It's so cool.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. And like I said, I was so blessed to have you on, and I enjoyed it very much. And thank you for doing me the honor of being on your show. I'm wordless right now because this is so awesome. So thank you very much.
I'm so privileged to have you heard on my show as well today. So I wish enough more guests on your show, more successes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I'd like to have you on my show again.
Okay, we will talk about that later.
All right. Have a wonderful evening.
Success Bench with Rosy. Love, Rosy. Tune in for more videos and upcoming episodes. Subscribe to my channel and get inspired. And don't forget to click the notification bell. See ya!